licenses, which really is as a benefit to the citizens. It's not a moneymaker, certainly, at $1.50 a license. It takes us much more time to write out the license and do the monthly report for them, any gain we get, but we do it as a public service. Of course, something like that would have to be dropped. There just would be no question. It would be a shame for us to drop passport services, but it is not statutorily required. We have had an increase each year we've provided this, and the feedback we've gotten from people to provide the service has been tremendous. Just this past year alone, we raised $16,000 in fees doing passports. So that would be an offset. That revenue would be an offset to the savings in the position. I can't say what else to say. This would be a very hard hit this year. We're going into our very busiest election year cycle. I think everybody knows what a busy primary election it was a month ago. It was higher than anything I've seen, and I've been through a long time for a presidential primary. The state election in November is going to be unsurpassed by any other. I'm certain of that. And we hit a near high, I believe, 8 years ago in our presidential in 2000. All of this takes manpower. The preparation for the voter registrations, the deadlines that we work under will be, of course, our primary responsibility. We cannot let those go, which will affect the other services that we provide. So that is where I stand. That's where our department would stand. You know, we do whatever we can with what we have. We always have. It would be a digression for all of our departments to face these kind of cuts. We're talking about the J.T. Berry Center coming on board. That's 406 units. That's a potential of 812 residents. They will be registering to vote. They'll be licensing dogs. They'll be looking for services from the town. That population in itself, I don't believe is earmarked to have a big impact on the school population. From what we hear based on the number of bedrooms in these units, but they certainly will have an effect on the town services from police, fire, safety, all of us. So the town is growing. It's not a good time to cut services that are provided for the residents. And that's all that I can say that I can think of. If anybody has any questions?
How many people in your department?
It's myself and 2 full-time staff.
There's 3.
3 of us. Yeah.
Barbara, thank you very much. Greg, I didn't see you're going to speak. Board and committee members, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Greg Valiakonis. I'm the town administrator, and just a couple of comments before I bring up the DPW budget. The $495,000 in reductions that are presented this evening are merely alternatives. They by no means represent an opinion of the town administrator, but they are merely opinions in terms of closing the budget gap on behalf of the schools. So in that light, in that spirit, I wanted to present information on the Department of Public Works and also Human Resources. Mr. Hanlon, who is the Public Works Director, is ill, and he sends his apologies that he can't be here this evening. The Department of Public Works consists of several divisions. And let me give you an idea of the number of personnel involved in these operations. Town Hall consists of a total of 5 positions. You have the Director, you have an executive administrative assistant, and you have an administrative assistant. So you have a manager and 2 clerical people. On the water department side, you have the utility superintendent, and you have a town engineer. So there are a total of 5 individuals in town hall that are associated with the Department of Public Works. In addition to that, the Public Works Department manages all the public buildings, municipal public buildings, including this building. And we have one person in that department who is the division head, but is also the person that fixes things when they break over the course of the day. So those are the people that are behind the scenes you probably aren't aware of. The water department, which is part of the Department of Public Works, has a total of 8 full-time employees, different combinations of full-time employees. And those are primarily people that are involved in labor, people that are fixing water breaks and responding to issues affecting the water service in the community. The Department of Public Works, as you know, is responsible for streets and street maintenance. There are a total of 9 full-time equivalent employees in that department that are responsible for road and street maintenance. There are 3 full-time equivalents that are responsible for mechanics, repairing of all town vehicles. So they're responsible for performing repairs on our fleet and make sure that the fleet is kept up to date. And then lastly, the Parks and Cemetery and Grounds Department, which consists of 3 full-time equivalent employees. At this time, all of the positions are filled, but there is one vacancy in the Parks and Cemetery and Grounds Department as a result of some turnover in personnel. So obviously, any change that we would do, we would probably look at that position as probably not filling that vacancy. And I can't speak on behalf of Mr. Hanlon what his preferences would be, but he has told me many times that the Department of Public Works operates at a staffing level less than what it had 20 years ago. And I think given the number of people that he has, the department does a pretty good job. Obviously, the town has to have contracted help to provide assistance with winter snow removal. I would anticipate that if we were to lose this position, you would see the town going out and looking to contract services on snow removal. I would expect that perhaps in the area of grounds maintenance, the town would also look to utilize contract services to the extent possible. On grounds maintenance and cemetery maintenance, sometimes it's not necessarily the pride of workmanship that you may see amongst an employee as opposed to a contractor. So perhaps I would suggest to you that the level and the quality of service that you might see in that department would be reduced as a result of a change in the reduction of one position. Sir.
Talk about
HR. The Human Resources Department is a function of the Town Administrator's Office. We have one 22-hour-a-week position. It's the Human Resources Director. She is part-time, so it's, we have $47 million municipal budget, or excuse me, $47 million combined budget, and we have a less than full-time person. We have about 200 employees who are on the municipal labor force. We have 7 municipal labor agreements that we need to manage. In addition to that, we have a $4.7 million health insurance program and all the retirement benefits that are administered through this office. So the ramifications of making cuts to this office, I would suggest, would have some legal implications. Everything that we do in HR is based upon what the law says we have to do, what our contracts say we have to do. If we were to make a reduction in this area, I would suggest that perhaps we would see some erosion of the compliance issues that we have. It may put the town at risk for increased labor actions against the community. It may also result in the town maybe not providing timely information. Remember that the town is required under the Public Records Law to provide information within 10 days of the receipt of the request. And I know Mrs. Bass mentioned a number of things that her office does, but one of the things that her office also does is they receive a lot of information from people who want public records. And a lot of that information relates to payroll and human resources records. So those offices are both very busy in terms of fulfilling those requests. If we don't have this position, it may take some additional time when they find that we're not in compliance with the law. But I would suggest that it's an important position. It's a position that I've requested for this is my 3rd budget cycle. I've requested it be made full-time, and we haven't had the money. It's about $17,000 to make the position full-time. So understand that from my perspective, we've been unable to find $17,000 over a period of 3 years to make this position full-time. It was full-time at one point. I guess before I came here, it was never full-time. But it is an important position. I appreciate your listening to my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions. Yes, sir. Please.
My name's Bob Elworthy, 195A Havel Street. I think that happening. And looking at this board, we gotta eliminate this, we gotta get rid of 2 of these, we gotta get rid of 1 of those. A thing that bothers me, and I've known about it since 1970, back when Jeff Spears was plowing snow. The town hires outside contractors to plow. And the outside contractors are plowing the churches. Now, the church ain't paying taxes. I do, and nobody plows my driveway. So if we're looking to fill a position, I say we should use the trucks that we're hiring to take care of town roads, and we're not going to be doing churches as a gratis thing. Just want to throw that out there.
Yes, sir.
Joe Sobak, Old Town Lane. I'd like to address a question to our town administrator. And I appreciate the comments. We have a difficult list to look at here, and everybody has very valid arguments why we shouldn't cut, but we're faced with the situation that we need to. Dr. Troutman, I applaud. Last year was faced with some very difficult decisions, made some cuts. I think most of us here who are parents don't like them, but you made the difficult decisions. What I'm not hearing from you are the difficult decisions. I frankly am a little frustrated by your discussion. What I'm hearing is, here's a laundry list, I have arguments against all of them. Now, I wasn't at the last Board of Selectmen meeting. At least my understanding from the reading of the transcript is the Selectmen, we the townspeople, have asked you to make recommendations for how you would cut $500,000. Instead, you're giving us a laundry list, all of which you're arguing against. So, as an employee of us, the townspeople, exactly, if this is not your recommendation, what is your recommendation for how we save $500,000?
Apologize for having my back turned to the side of the room. My recommendation is not to support any of these cuts. I do not believe that they're appropriate for the municipal departments. The municipal departments have already made substantial concessions throughout the budget process. To date, my office has been responsible in making budget revisions totaling $1,266,000. Have they been made in the form of cutting positions? No, sir, they have not. However, as town administrator, I'm charged with the responsibility of providing recommendations to maintain the level of services that I feel are appropriate for the community. And there is an opportunity through a combination of budget reductions, increasing fees, and allocating revenues to other cost areas to avoid cuts to the greatest extent possible. My recommendation is similar to what the chairman had presented earlier in the evening, but for this simple slide. And that is as follows. That is to approve $708,975 in cuts and reductions and reallocation of monies, as was presented in the slide that the chairman had up earlier this evening, and also to provide the additional monies that would be necessary to bridge the gap, to provide $373,700 to assist the school department in maintaining their level of services. I should point out that initially municipal departments were charged with the responsibility of submitting a conservative budget recommendation of no more than 3%. And back in early December, I cut budgets by $184,000 to come within the 3% budget guideline. So initially, municipal departments were brought down to 3%. My fear is that if we go much below that level, you'll see a substantial erosion in the level of services. It is not something that, frankly, I support. I do believe that we closed and bridged the gap to a number of recommendations that have been put forth this evening. Now I'd ask you to consider those and support those in your efforts. Thank you. Mr. Nolan, our police chief.
Boards and committees, and ladies and gentlemen, I would like to inform you of what the town of North Reading looks like from a police or fire perspective.